Curtis Selby sign, breaking down the stories every view will unwind. From left to right we'll see the light. It's balance we're chasing, no fighters fight. Curtis Selby talking it straight. Let's hear both sides, let's communicate. Politics and reason, let's find the truth. Curtis Selby's here to bridge it for you. Debates, insights, it's all on the screen. Curtis Selby keeping it keen. Hit subscribe, stay a while, let's dive in deep with Curtis Selby. The combos you need. The combos you need. Insights, it's all on the screen. Curtis Selby keeping it keen. Hit subscribe, stay a while, let's dive in deep with Curtis Selby. The convo's unique. Curtis Selby talking it straight. Let's hear both sides, let's communicate. Politics and reason, let's find the truth. Curtis Selby's here to bridge it for you. Debates, insights, it's all on the screen. Curtis Selby keeping it keen. Hit subscribe, stay a while, let's dive in deep with Curtis Selby. The combos you need. The combos you need. The combos you need.
Greetings, everyone. I know it's been way too long, but it is I, Curtis Selby, your retired midnight blogger. The blog's in this case at 7:03 p.m. live from Tehran. No, I'm just kidding. I have been wanting to talk about this since it began, or since I knew that it had begun. Today was the first day I got home early enough and with enough energy that I thought, you know what? Let's at least give a half-assed effort at this. I see people are already in the chat. God bless all of you. Let's see who all was brave enough to show up. Sorry. First person in the chat is PvP Rockin' Oil. And Accounting Sheet, one of my paid Patreon subscribers. Thank you very much. I am glad that you have been reading, and whether you're enjoying it or not, you've at least said that you are, so God bless you. I know it's rough as hell, but I'm just kind of reworking in my mind where I want to go with that book. And anyone who wants to, you can either subscribe or you can buy the first portion for a few bucks. I want to say $3. It's my attempt at rewriting the rough draft lost a year ago of the novel I've been trying to write for way too long, entitled Forging the Chain. Rock and rule, Pleasant Valley Picker, and thanks for sharing that source. I will be sharing at least some things from that particular person, and we just suddenly jumped from 4 to 2 to 4. Okay. PvP did UC Gorilla stream. We did on the topic. I saw that it was going on right before I crashed. And I've been crashing early and hard My apologies. If I was 20 years old, this job would not be kicking my tail so much. PvP is saying that it was his Tuesday cigar lounge. I do want to, I am going to try to get a listen in on it before too much longer. It has indeed been an amazing week. Lots of emotions rolling around, lots of people with lots of things to say. As usual, a lot of it's contradictory. I don't know how much help I can be in sorting it out, but I promise I'll do my best. Very few events like this happen in a lifetime. Yeah, well, I always thought that if I lived to see this day, it would just descend into an abrupt and horrible World War III. And at least a week has gone by and that hasn't happened yet. So thank you, God. Thank you. Suzanne is here. Please, we'll make her feel welcome. We are praying for you. I'm not going to say too much about what's going on because I don't know much about it, for one, and two, I don't know how much you want shared. But please be praying for Suzanne. She's got some things going on, and I know if I was in the same situation, I know I would want as many people praying as I possibly could. PvP for me, they're the Kennedy unalivings when he was a kid, the space shuttle explosions, and 9/11. Yeah, for me, I would say the space shuttle explosions, my computer being a complete wonky blankety blank right now. The space shuttle explosions, the first and second Iraqi wars, basically the first Iraqi war and the wars on terror and 9/11. It does feel like this amounts to the same thing, because honestly, I'll get into it a little bit. This is something that started when I was very young, and that's one of the reasons why it's so important to me. Is the images from the late 70s are just kind of burned into my mind. Iran has always been the big bugaboo, and I realize now that that's a little bit of a naive way to look at it, but for good or ill, it does seem like a chapter is turning in the story. Yes, PvP, those events impacted all of the world, and PvP has hope that the Iranian people can be free again. Amen. I know that a lot of people would say they weren't free under the Shah. My humble opinion, they were closer to it than they have been since. So, you're very welcome, Suzanne. You're very welcome. Accounting Sheet is sending up prayers for you. He's a good man. So, PvP, I remember videos of beautiful Iranian women with their hair flowing freely. If I get a chance, I'm going to share on my... I will not do the pointless partisan thing. I will just share what I've been finding on Twitter about Iran. So, I'm going to try not to be political on this. I'm just going to try to share, how did this get going, what's going on now, and what are the possibilities for the future. Oh, I know, you never meant to offend, PvP. I know. I totally know that. PvP, the word is the Shah will be willing to head a transitional government. Yeah, I've heard a little bit about it. Not probably enough, but... All right, let's get the music ended. I am simulcasting on YouTube and Rumble. I don't know if I'm going to do anything just on Rumble, but if we end up feeling like we need to just let loose and not be censored, then we'll end the stream on YouTube and go to Rumble. But I think that most of the things that I want to say can be said on YouTube, I think. PvP, they hopefully will elect a democratic government after all of this. I hope it's at least, I honestly, I'm to the point where I don't even care if it's democratic as long as they're just not terrorists. You know, if you want to be run by Sharia law, knock yourself out. If you want a monarchy, not my business. It's not my country. But please, 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 please stop funding terror all over the world. That would be great. So let's start with how, at least in the tired midnight blogger's mind, how this story all began. This is, as you will all remember, the Iranian hostage crisis. About the only person, you may not remember it. Accounting sheep, I think you may be too young to remember this, but I think all of the rest of us will remember when this happened. It was a great big deal to 8-year-old Curtis, because 8-year-old Curtis really thought that America was the greatest thing ever, that we were the big dogs, we were the heroes, we had won all the wars except Vietnam, which I totally did not understand because I was 8, 7 or 8. But now this country was giving us a black eye, and we seemed totally helpless to do anything about it. PvP, nope, Sharia law is not good. That is what my gut tells me. I'm just saying I would absolutely be okay with them going by Sharia law if they aren't running around trying to unalive everybody in my country. County Sheep wasn't born until Reagan's term, thankfully. You missed out. You missed out on Carter. You missed out on Nixon, Gerald Ford being clumsy. This is the image right here. Burned in my mind, American hostages that the Iranians had taken, and to tiny little Curtis's mind, there was absolutely no good reason for this at all. And I still don't say that there's a good reason for it, but their justification was, well, the Shah is a big dodo head, and America's been propping up the big dodo head, and we want the Shah out. We want this peaceful philosopher king, Ayatollah Khomeini, to come and guide us with his love and his religion and his joyful Islam. And Paris had been keeping him in exile, and he was renowned as this guy who wouldn't hurt a fly. Well, then all of a sudden, violence became the order of the day, and they became the cartoon villains on nearly all 80s movies. And they were the big bugaboo next to Russia and China. Here it is. The Iran hostage crisis. Blindfolded American hostage surrounded by captors outside the U.S. Embassy in Tehran, November 9 of 1979. This was an international crisis, lasted from 79 through 81, in which militants in Iran seized 66 American citizens at the U.S. Embassy in Tehran and held 52 of them hostage for more than a year. The crisis, which took place during the chaotic aftermath of Iran's Islamic Revolution, which occurred between 78 and 79, and its overthrow of the Pahlavi monarchy, had dramatic effects on the domestic politics in the United States and poisoned U.S.-Iranian relations for decades, I would say up to and including the recent past. The crisis spanned the U.S. presidencies of Jimmy Carter and Ronald Reagan. Let's see if anyone is commenting in the chat. Hey, hello, Resolute Germ. Hail and well met. PvP is saying, and I would actually agree with you. I know that this is controversial in some quarters to say, but yes, I feel that Sharia law, as it has been practiced in most of these countries in recent times, is very repressive to women. I would agree with that. PvP is sharing a link. Kenneth D. Taylor. You know what? I will open that up. Maybe. Y'all are moving so fast. Fast. Oh, yes. All right. I will get some of that read as well. Let me at least get a little bit into the Iranian hostage crisis. The revolution deeply altered that country's relationship with the United States. The deposed Iranian ruler, Mohammad Reza Shah Pahlavi, which I'm probably mispronouncing, had been close to a succession of U.S. administrations, and this had produced deep suspicion and hostility among Iran's revolutionary leaders from both the left and right of the political spectrum. I don't know if they will mention it here, but our CIA had set up the Shah. Essentially, the Iranians tried to start a democratic movement, but the democratic movement wasn't pro-United States enough. So somewhere in the early 50s, we destroyed their democratic movement, causing lots of them to start hating us, and set up and then propped up the Shah. Not saying that that was right at all. I'm agreeing that there's some amount of anger that was justified, but I think the deep level of just insane hatred that followed and has been about for the last 40 years, it's not justified. It's not, it's not even a matter that it's not good for us. It's not good for Iran. It's one of the primary messages of this channel. We have to stop hating each other more than we love our children. This is just as true of the Iranians as of us. The Iranians have to stop hating us more than they love their children, or nothing's ever going to be very good for them. Beginning in the fall of '78, the U.S. Embassy in Tehran had been the scene of frequent demonstrations by Iranians who opposed the American presence in the country. And on February 14 of '79, about a month after the Shah had fled Iran, the embassy was attacked and briefly occupied. The embassy weathered this assault, during which several of its personnel were killed or wounded, but Iran was in the throes of enormous revolutionary change, which called for a new U.S. posture in Iran. Consequently, by the start of the hostage crisis, the embassy staff had been cut from more than 1,400 people before the revolution to about 70. In addition, attempts had been made to arrive at a modus vivendi with Iran's provisional government, and during the spring and summer, the Iranian authorities sought to strengthen security around the embassy complex. In October of '79, the U.S. State Department was informed that the deposed Iranian monarch required medical treatment that his aides claimed was available only in the United States. U.S. authorities, in turn, informed the Iranian Prime Minister Mehdi Bazargan, which sounds like a great name for a Klingon, if I may say so, of the Shah's impending arrival on American soil. Bazargan, in the light of the February attack, guaranteed the safety of the U.S. Embassy and its staff. The Shah arrived in New York City on October 22. The initial public response in Iran was moderate, but on November 4th, the embassy was attacked by a mob of perhaps 3,000, some of whom were armed and who, after a short siege, took 63 American men and women hostage. An additional 3 members of the U.S. diplomatic staff were actually seized at the Iranian Foreign Ministry. Within the next few days, representatives of U.S. President Jimmy Carter and Tehran-based diplomats from other countries attempted but failed to free the hostages. An American delegation headed by former U.S. Attorney General Ramsey Clark, who had long-standing relations with many Iranian officials, was refused admission to Iran. Here's a great big thing about Jimmy Carter and his life. Not going to read it, not because I don't like him, but because he's not the topic. This guy is more the topic. This was the big bugaboo bad guy. I hated him. Like to me, there was at this time, because I wasn't as well versed in history yet. There was Mustache Man, and then there was this guy, and then whatever random Russian, because I didn't know who Stalin was at that time. I didn't know who Mao Zedong was. A political struggle was afoot in Tehran between the Islamic right and secular left, and between various personalities within the Muslim coterie surrounding the revolutionary leader Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini. There used to be a song about Khomeini. I wish I could remember it. And the hostages apparently were caught in the stalemate resulting from this dispute. It soon became evident that no one with a virulently anti-American atmosphere of post-revolutionary Iran was willing or able to release the hostages. The hostage takers themselves most likely were supporters of Khomeini, whose failure to order the release of the hostages led Bazargan to resign the premiership on November 6th and demanded, as a condition of the hostages' release, that the United States extradite the Shah to Iran. Dum, dum, dum. Drama ensues. Man, you guys are just rocking in that chat. All right. PvP, Canadian Caper. Let's see. Canadians saved some Americans. Right on. Carter betrayed the Shah. Hey, hail and well met, Connie Cleary. Welcome. Counting sheep, I'm making the wild card bet. Iran democratically elects Zelensky, and the war continues forever. See, I can offend everyone at once. Well done. I applaud you, Accounting Sheep. That's fantastic. PvP, billionbibles.org. Okay. Sharia law is medieval crap. Well, I shared that on this. I don't remember if you were in that one or not, but there was a time when I was sharing, the things from Twitter, and somebody put together a beautiful post. I don't think I'll try to find it today, but they're basically trying to demonstrate that all this just burying women under a bunch of clothes so that all you can see is their eyes, that's not the culture of these countries. That they had beautiful fashions that were still modest, but allowed a woman to be a woman instead of just being some man's property. PvP says it's not law, it's just more terror. And Tim, hail and well met. You are spiffy. I don't know. I'm running out of thoughts. Running into an embassy is an act of war. Yes. Well, taking hostages from an embassy is an act of war. And Enigma Severus, hail and well met. Cortissimo del Fuego is live. Finally, I got home in time. Carter messed up bad on Iran. I would, without meaning to get political, I do tend to agree with that. Tim, PvP, you can't be president and be nice too. Enigma Severus, never go against Israel. I even spoke with a roomie today who believed Israel is not the same Israel of the Bible, which is pretty wrong, but it's hard to pinpoint how he logically thought. PvP, remember France gave the Ayatollah refuge and allowed him to go back to Iran. Exactly correct. Exactly. Enigma Severus, ultimately, I don't think he knows I studied this for 9 years and got a master's in it. I just decided to let the conversation end on nice terms. I can understand that. Sometimes one is, not that I'm a great expert on this, but I've always felt that it can be more Christ-like to let people just have their ideas than to thump them over the head with the Bible. But I could easily be wrong about all that. PvP, Tim, still you can be president and make good decisions. And Accounting Sheep, of course, the article doesn't miss a chance to call him right-wing because, as we all know, the Ayatollah was a big fan of low taxes and non-interventionism. He sure was. That's, in fact, I would say he was nothing if not a true libertarian prince. PvP, I hope this conflict ends. It's been going on since I was a kid. Yes, it's been going on since before I was born, but this is the point where I at least began to see that there was a conflict. Tim, Curtis, you can see their eyes? Get them! Yes. PvP, the current French president, said some amazingly dumb things the other day. Yeah, he also was hit by his wife, who was evidently his school teacher. That's not creepy at all. So, all right, back to the Iran hostage crisis. On November 12, acting Iranian Foreign Minister Abolhassan Badisadr indicated that the hostages would be released if the United States ceased interfering in Iranian affairs, if the Shah was returned to Iran for trial, and if assets in the possession of the Shah were declared stolen property. The United States responded by stating that Iran was free to make financial claims against the Shah in U.S. courts, and further declared that it would support establishing an international commission to investigate purported human rights abuses under the Shah's regime. As a precondition of any such conditions, however, the hostages would have to be returned. The United States bolstered its position by refusing to purchase Iranian oil, by freezing billions of dollars of Iranian assets in the United States, and by engaging throughout the crisis in a vigorous campaign of international diplomacy against the Iranians. U.S. diplomats twice obtained UN Security Council resolutions against Iran's actions, and on November the 29th, the United States filed suit against the Iranian government in the International Court of Justice, which ruled in favor of the United States in May of 1980. I hope this isn't a political statement, but damn lot of good that did everybody, didn't it? The consensus of the international community was against the Iranian seizure of the hostages, and diplomats from various countries sought to intervene on their behalf. One notable incident occurred on January 28 of 1980 when Canadian diplomats helped 6 American diplomats who had managed to avoid capture flee Iran. I think that's a perfect segue into the things that PvP has shared with us. PvP, the current French president said that regime change never works. I mean, look, I'll be honest. I'm not a fan of trying to do regime change. I think it's something that America's done too much of and all too often has unintended consequences. But I don't think it's universally true that it's always bad. So that's the question. Is this one of those times when it is bad, or is this one of those times when it is good? Or are there possibly going to be unintended consequences that we don't foresee? Looking at the poll, how do you think this will end? 90% say that Israel will win, and 10% of you say, I don't care, they are both evil. So there is that. YouTube channel fact-checked him. Right on. It's about time they fact-checked someone besides people that I like. Let's take a look at What did the Canadians do? All right, Kenneth D. Taylor. He was a Canadian diplomat, educator, and businessman, best known for his role in the 1979 covert operation called the Canadian Caper, when he was the Canadian ambassador to Iran. With the cooperation of the American CIA, Taylor helped 6 Americans escape from Iran during the Iran hostage crisis by procuring Canadian passports for the Americans to deceive the Iranian Revolutionary Guard by posing as a Canadian film crew scouting locations. That's fantastic. How did I not know about this? Had the IRG known, every Canadian in the embassy would have been executed. Before the escape, the 6 Americans spent several weeks hiding in the homes of Taylor and another Canadian diplomat, John Sheardown. Taylor is portrayed by Gordon Pinsent in the Canadian 1981 television film Escape from Iran, The Canadian Caper, which dramatizes the cover story for the operation. The later 2012 American film Argo, of course, focuses more on the CIA and Hollywood's role. Yeah, I'll bet it does. With Taylor played by Canadian actor Victor Garber. After his death, which was in 2015, the Washington Post described Taylor as the main hero of the Iran hostage escape, who orchestrated the entire process, quoting former President Jimmy Carter in doing so. In 1981, Taylor was awarded the Congressional Gold Medal by President Ronald Reagan. Nevertheless, the significance of his role was downplayed in the film Argo because Hollywood sucks. Yep. He was under the Prime Minister, Pierre Trudeau, and Joe Clark. I am so sorry for him. Anyway, hopefully Pierre was better than his son. I won't go too deep into his life. The Iranian hostage crisis. Iranian students invaded the United States Embassy, as we already said. During the riot, 6 Americans managed to escape. So as you see, riots aren't all bad. You know, maybe during the LA riots, maybe some diplomats escaped who needed to. So just you think about that when you're going around criticizing. They hid for 4 days before reaching the Canadian embassy, where they met Taylor, who devised the plan to get them out of Iran safely. On January the 20th of 1981, as Ronald Reagan was being sworn in as president, the remaining 52 American hostages were released by Iran into U.S. custody, having spent 444 days in captivity. I don't know if you all remember this, but the American news used to count every day. I can't remember if it's at the beginning or if it was at a particular point in the episode, but today is such and such, day 255 of the Iranian hostage crisis. I will never forget it. Taylor played a crucial role in providing intelligence on the hostage crisis to both Canadian and American intelligence agencies. Let me guess, in the American movie, we make the Canadian intelligence just look incompetent, when it's probably more true the other way about. Reportedly, he helped scout out landing sites for the abortive Delta Force rescue attempt, Operation Eagle Claw. A made-for-TV movie of the event, Escape from Iran, the Canadian Caper, was produced in 1981. In 2012, Ben Affleck, that explains it. It's Ben Affleck. It's got to be evil. I'm just kidding. He does some good stuff. It starred in a movie titled Argo, which is based on the book The Master of Disguise by Tony Mendez, a CIA agent involved in the incident. After the film was previewed at the 2012 Toronto International Film Festival, the Canadians kicked him out and proclaimed Ben Affleck as an enemy of the state. No. Sorry. Cassie, my overpaid assistant Cassie has let me know that that's not correct. Criticism arose, though, that the film unfairly minimized the participation of the Canadian government, and Taylor, in particular, in the extraction operation. This included the addition of the film of several fictional events for dramatic reasons, as well as a postscript text indicating that the CIA let Taylor take the credit for political purposes, implying that he did not deserve the accolades he received. Affleck noted, because we say it's based on a true story rather than this is a true story, we're allowed to take some dramatic license. There's a spirit of truth. However, Affleck did respond by changing the postscript text to read, the involvement of the CIA complemented efforts of the Canadian Embassy to free the 6 held in Tehran. To this day, the story stands as an enduring model of international cooperation between governments. That is a lot better put. Just saying. Historical news footage discussing Canada's role in the rescue was also added near the end of the film. Taylor himself said that the film was fun, it's thrilling, it's pertinent, it's timely, but noted that Canada was not merely standing around watching events take place. The CIA was a junior partner. And, you know, as much as I am still proud to be an American, I do not doubt that Taylor is probably 90% correct, and the CIA is probably 90% full of crap. Just saying. After returning from Iran, Taylor was appointed Canadian Consul General to New York City. PvP, why did you guys punish this poor guy? He does a heroic thing and you send him to New York City? Good Lord. In 1980, he was made an officer of the Order of Canada, along with his wife, Pat, and other Canadian personnel involved in the escape, and was also awarded the United States Congressional Gold Medal that same year. He also received the Golden Plate Award of the American Academy of Achievement in 1980. He returned to the University of Toronto for several years as the Chancellor of Victoria College. Taylor left the Foreign Service in 1984 and served as Senior Vice President of Nabisco. I'll just not comment on that. Nobody's perfect, right? Taylor moved to the United States, resided in New York City until his death at the age of 81 on October 15 of 2015. Taylor died at New York Presbyterian Hospital, where he had been treated for stage 4 colon cancer. That's terrible. Taylor's funeral service was held at Timothy Eaton Memorial Church in Toronto on October 27 of 2015. He was survived by his wife, Patricia, his son, Douglas, and 2 grandchildren, Tristan and Cassia. So beautiful, beautiful story there. Canada, I wish I was in old Canada, a land that I never shall lampoon. That was beautiful. Thanks for sharing that, PvP. Yes, Germany benefited. The world benefited from regime change in Germany. France has had times when they and the world have benefited from regime change. Just putting that out there. Again, mostly I'm against it. But it's like the American Revolution. People don't understand this. Most philosophical thought back then was that revolutions are almost invariably bad things. And I hate to say this, but if you look at history, it's true. And that's one of the reasons why the founding fathers were so very dedicated to making sure that ours would be different. That's why they didn't just go off half-cocked. You know, now, yeah, there were mobs, there were bad things that happened, there were riots. You have something that's that big, not everything's going to be great. But the founding fathers themselves were not proponents of rioting. They put together a Declaration of Independence, and I don't care what people say, I think most of the things in that document are true. You'll have people that will say, well, that didn't happen and that didn't happen. And well, maybe they exaggerated some, but most of the things that they say in there were things that they believed to be true. And they were reasons why we were revolting. And then we basically fought on the standards of liberty, and eventually we brought about the Constitution that we have. Most revolutions, though, are nothing but sad and shoddy riots. Well, for an example, look what happened in Iran. You can't say, to me, you can't say that revolutions are universally good, but also you can't say that they're universally bad. PvP says that Argo gets it wrong. I kind of figured that. And hail and well met to Jeff B. Welcome, welcome. Hope you are doing well. Watch the original TV film, Enigma Severus. I'm very curious. Do you all think the French president is simply allowing his wife to smack him around because she is possibly German? And the French are accustomed to being smacked around. Well, you know, whenever my wife gives me a love tap, it is time for oh la la. Enigma Severus, FYI, the Tony Mendez guy, his wife does YouTube tutorials on disguises. Her and her husband are pretty legit in the spy world. Both are retired. So, no, I said I wouldn't be political, so I won't say it. I will just say that sounds awesome. PvP is sharing a YouTube video. Gorillas Random Thoughts. I didn't know I was going to stream either, Gorillas. I'm sorry. Don't hate me. I got home on time for a change and was like, I haven't streamed in ages. I need to throw something out. So PvP shared a link to the TV stream. May not be of great quality, but it is watchable. Gorillas, where's the vote for when will the damn asteroid hit? Well, I see. This is why I should consult you more often. I would replace Gavin Newsom negotiating peace. I can't believe not any of you have voted for Gavin Newsom negotiating peace. I thought that was a really reasonable thing to put in there. But if I could do it again, I would put that the asteroid's going to hit and it won't matter. So I also noticed that as many people think Iran's going to win as think that Gavin Newsom will negotiate peace. So double speed away, PvP. I wish more Americans would realize Canada is their best friend. I realize it. I may sometimes joke and things, but no, I have great love and respect for Canada. I used to would have said that Canada and Britain and Australia were our three best friends. I still say that about Canada. But when I say that, I mean the Canadian people. The Canadian government, I don't see the Canadian government as our friends. And I don't know. I don't know anymore who our three best friends are. But I would definitely put the Canadian people as our very best friends in the world. Gorillas, Enigma Severus, Gorillas Random Thoughts. Sorry, shan't happen. Already happened once. Shan't happen again. No, it probably will happen again because, like, I have to. As much as I would love to make YouTube the priority, but I have to do my job. I have to pay my bills. It's just what it is. PvP is asking how so. Ooh, there may be a debate coming on. Let's get ready to rumble. I want a fair fight. No, hitting below the belt. No. Okay. You know, accounting sheep. You know how offended those intelligence agencies get when their clandestine activities don't get the media recognition they deserve. I know a couple of people who have top secret clearance. And I guess that's the difference between the people who do the groundwork and the people in the offices that are getting the big cushy jobs. Those people don't want you to have any freaking idea who they are, what they do. They've shared a little bit with me, but definitely not enough for me to be able to say, yeah, because of the things they've taught me, I'm a badass. They've just shared a few things. And it's cool, but it's also kind of, it's hard for them to go against the tide of a media complex that on one hand wants to glorify the CIA and on the other hand wants to demonize it and probably gets both sides of that wrong. Sci-Fi Sith Dan, hell and well met. Welcome, welcome. I hope you are doing well. PvP. Sadly, Trump's comments caused the election to elect a bad government here. PvP wants an explanation. Enigma Severus, you two fight fair. You're both good people. I don't want you beating each other up. Accounting Sheep, no, I'm a secret agent. Talk about me. Yeah, and like I say, it seems to be those are the people who evidently get to the very top of the CIA. PvP, the channel listed 6 regime changes that improved the world. That's actually would be a cool topic. Okay. Enigma Severus wants to know, PvP, how is Canada our best friend? And then PvP is apologizing for the caps. He didn't mean to yell at us. Stop yelling at us, PvP! PvP says, Enigma Severus, if you don't know, you need to educate yourself. Ooh, tag! But I'm going to warn you, Enigma Severus is one of the best educated people I know. I'm just saying. I'm not going to take a side on this one because I love you both and you're both good people. But just be forewarned, PvP. He's not ignorant. He just he is possible that you know something that he does not, or see it. You definitely see it differently. Enigma Severus, it's all on the internet. Read and learn. Counting Sheep, am I trying to incite an insurrection? It's an Iran insurrection. Yes, I am. You might as well ding me for it, YouTube. Come on. This is the January 6th of Iran. Oh, I said it. Okay, I shouldn't have said it. I said I wouldn't get political. But YouTube can kiss my butt. But you people in the chat, I respect you, so I will play nice. PvP, yeah, that doesn't fly. Trying to hold a higher position of if you don't know, you're uneducated. I would argue that this is Enigma's statement, not mine, but I would argue Canada does not contribute much. PvP, Gorilla, when is your furry? When are you guys doing Sarah Connor? Yeah, let me know. Resolute Germ. Oh, ouch, tag. Not our best friend, our slow little brother. Ouch. Enigma Severus. PvP, I'm not playing a stupid guessing game. Either explain your opinion or simply move on. PvP, Enigma Severus. Okay, I didn't call you uneducated. Putting words in my mouth loses you points. And it's possible I'm the one that put those words in there, so I apologize. I'm really not meaning to egg you guys on. I really am not. It might make for good YouTube, but I would rather have happy friends as quote-unquote good YouTube. I'd actually rather have actual quality YouTube as stuff like that. But again, I'm not meaning to tell you guys what to do or what to say. I'm just, I'm Switzerland like I used to be in this case. So I'm going to just let you guys debate it out. I won't pick on either one of you. Uh, okay, so yes, the Canada did help a lot on D-Day. That is true, and they have a long undefended border, and that is true. Enigma Severus, out of respect to Curtis, I'm letting this go. God bless you both. I'm not picking a side between the two of you at all. You're both good people. So, all right, now let's get back to. I think we've read Kenneth Taylor. What do I want to go to next? I think that I shall go to this. I thinks. Anyway, long and the short, there's been a lot of bad blood, a lot of Die Hard movies, and Back to the Future, and basically, like I say, the Iranians went from being the great inheritors of the Persian culture to being third-rate villains cast on some actually pretty good Hollywood movies. But here we go. No, I don't want to subscribe. I want to read it. All right. Here we have Times Now News. So, again, I'm trying to go a little bit in depth, but hopefully not so far that it's annoying to you. From 1967 to 2025, 58-year timeline of tensions, hostilities between Israel and Iran. Right now, Israel and Iran are hitting each other with missiles and drones as the two engage in brutal violence against raising tensions in an already chaotic region of the Middle East. And we have the two of them here. We have Netanyahu looking like a big angry dodo head, and we have Khomeini looking like a generous, loving Sharia Santa Claus. Make of that photo whatever you want. And like missiles and planes and drones. Oh my. Let's see if this will let me read it. The world woke up to the new threat of war on Friday morning as Israel launched missiles targeting nuclear sites in Iran. This was followed by a counterstrike by Tehran, which has now escalated into a missiles and drones war between the two sides, which have had a history of violence and conflict. Yeah. Mainly, I've basically explained why the United States ended up hating them. I wanted to dig a little more into why in the world, why did Israel? I mean, their hostages, they didn't have embassy hostages, not that I remember. So why is Israel, have there been tensions between Israel and Iran? I mean, they're both just, they're so alike. I mean, these two guys, they just look like they need to have cocoa and sit and talk. I'm exaggerating and kidding. Iran has vowed not to stop, as Israel warned, saying Tehran will burn. Israel targeted Iran's defense ministry hours after Iranian missiles breached Iron Dome to hit crucial sites in central Tel Aviv. With another war breaking out apart from Ukraine, Russia, and Israel, Gaza. So you got to remember, Israel's basically fighting a two-front war. Doesn't necessarily mean they're the good guys. I'm just putting it out there. They're fighting a two-front war. And it also doesn't necessarily mean they're the bad guys. It is important to look back at how Israel and Iran have endured each other's enmity for so long. 1967. During the early days of conflict, Iran took possession of its Tehran research reactor under America's Atoms for Peace program. So, at least according to this, we started them on the road to nuclear energy. And then 1979, Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi of Iran fell fatally ill and later fled the country as popular protests against him surged. He maintained economic and security ties with Israel, reported AP, which, as we all know, AP is completely centrist and always accurate. Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini returned to Tehran as the Islamic Revolution swept him to power. Students seized the U.S. Embassy in Tehran, leading to a 444-day hostage crisis. Iran's nuclear program gets slowed under international pressure. With the new regime in command, Iran identifies Israel as a major enemy. Evidently, Times Now News cannot afford to put a Y in the word enemy. 1987, Iran picks the Joker as their ambassador to the United States after the Joker had beaten Robin to death with a tire iron. What was that, Cassie? My overpaid assistant, Cassie, is telling me that that's only true in the comic books. My bad. Sorry. 2002, August. So there's a big gap here. It's like, in fact, there's a lot that they don't report. That in 1982 or 3, Israel bombed the crap out of the Iranian nuclear sites, and there was quite a bit of controversy then about whether they should have done it or not. But now, evidently, we're going to skip to 2002. August, Western intelligence services and an Iranian opposition group reveal Iran's secret Natanz nuclear enrichment facility. Not to be confused with the Nacho nuclear enrichment facility. 2003, June, Britain, France, and Germany engage Iran in nuclear negotiations. October, after much negotiation, Iran suspends uranium enrichment. 2006, February. 3 years after suspending uranium enrichment, Iran announced the resumption of the same following the election of hardline President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad. Yeah, the Ayatollah Khomeini passed away. It was one of the saddest days of my life. Britain, France, and Germany walked out of stalled negotiations. 2009, June, Iran's disputed presidential election sees Ahmadinejad reelected despite fraud allegations. This led to the Green Movement protests and a violent government crackdown. October, under President Barack Obama, the U.S. and Iran opened a secret back channel for messages in the Sultanate of Oman. He is the Sultan. He is the Sultan of Swing. Ba-dum-bum, bum-ba-dum-bum. Iran's nuclear program became a primary target in 2010. The Stuxnet computer virus was discovered and widely believed to be a joint U.S.-Israeli creation. The virus disrupted and destroyed Iranian centrifuges. Sometimes I miss Anonymous. We are anonymous. We do not forget. We do not forgive. But we have really cool taste in masks. 2015, July 14, world powers and Iran announce a long-term comprehensive nuclear agreement that limits Tehran's enrichment of uranium in exchange for the lifting of economic sanctions. 2018, and there's a spiffy video here that I'm really tempted to watch, but I ain't gonna, because YouTube will ding me for it. Trump vows to rain hell on Iran if Khomeini will... ... watch us through. So let's make that sound as dumb as we possibly can. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says his country obtained tens of thousands of pages of data showing Iran covered up its nuclear program before signing a deal with world powers in 2015. An ex-Mossad chief confirms the information was obtained by more than a dozen non-Israeli agents from safes in Tehran. President Donald Trump unilaterally withdrew from Iran's nuclear deal with world powers. 2020 alleged Israeli attacks against Iran's nuclear program stepped up significantly after the disintegration of the 2015 nuclear deal meant to keep Iran from developing nuclear weapons. July, a mysterious explosion tears apart a centrifuge production plant at Iran's Natanz nuclear enrichment facility. Iran blames the attack on Israel. November, a top Iranian military nuclear scientist, Mohsen Fakhrizadeh, which just doesn't sound right at all. It sounds like a bad name that you would make up in a novel. I know. I'm going to call them Mohsen Fakhrizadeh. Anyway, they are unalived by a remote-controlled machine gun while traveling in a car outside of Tehran. The top Iranian security official accuses Israel of using electronic devices to remotely kill the scientist, who founded Iran's military nuclear program in the 2000s. 2021, April 11, an attack targets Iran's underground nuclear facility in Natanz. Iran blames Israel, which does not claim responsibility, but Israeli media widely reports that the government orchestrated a cyber attack that caused a blackout at the facility. April 16. Iran begins enriching uranium up to 60, its highest purity ever, and a technical step from weapons grade levels of 90%. So just one grade below weapons, which, anyway. 2022 June, Iran accuses Israel of poisoning two nuclear scientists in different cities within 3 days of each other, though the circumstances remain unclear. Iran's revenge strikes after IDF blitz. Haifa port targeted. 2023, on October 7 of 2023, Hamas militants from the Gaza Strip stormed into Israel, unaliving 1,200 people and taking 250 hostage, beginning the most intense war between Israel and Hamas. Depending on who you talk to, Iran, which has armed Hamas, offers support to the militants. 2024, February 14, a happy Valentine's! An Israeli sabotage attack led to multiple explosions on an Iranian natural gas pipeline running from Iran's western Shahramal and Bakhtiari province to cities on the Caspian Sea, not to be confused with the King Caspian of Narnia. April the 1st, an Israeli airstrike demolished Iran's consulate in Damascus, Syria, unaliving 16 people, including 2 Iranian generals. They also don't mention here that evidently Trump took out one of their generals, but they don't mention that here. April 14, Iran launched an unprecedented missile and drone attack on Israel, firing over 300 missiles and attack drones in response to the Israeli airstrike in Damascus. Working with the U.S.-led international coalition, Israel intercepts much of the incoming fire. April 19, a suspected Israeli strike hit an air defense system near an airport in Isfahan, Iran. That sounds like a fun place to party. If you want to have great parties, come to Isfahan and wear your burqa. July 31st, Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh is unalived by an apparent Israeli airstrike during a visit to Tehran. Israel had pledged to unalive Haniyeh and other Hamas leaders over the October 7 attack. September 27, Israeli airstrike unalived Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah, formed by Iranian Revolutionary Guard members who went to Lebanon in 1982 to fight invading Israeli forces. Hezbollah was the first group that Iran backed and used as a way to export its brand of political Islam. See, why didn't they have that up? This is why we're the media. Right here. October 1st, Iran launched its second direct attack on Israel, though a U.S.-led coalition and Israel shot down most of the missiles. October 16, Israel unalived Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar in the Gaza Strip. October 26th, Israel openly attacks Iran for the first time. And again, that's not true. It may not have been open, but they attacked Iran way back in the 80s, and it was over nuclear stuff then too. But anyway, these people say that this was the first time Israel openly attacked Iran, striking air defense systems and sites associated with its missile program. Finally, we're up to the great year of 2025. April 30, Iran executes a man it said worked for Israel's Mossad foreign intelligence agency and played a role in the unaliving of Revolutionary Guard Colonel Hassan Saeed Kodai in Tehran on May 22 of 2022. I got to tell you, their names make great Klingon names. They really do. I am Hassan Kodai. I challenge you to an honor duel. June 13, Israel launches blistering attacks on the heart of Iran's nuclear and military structure, deploying warplanes and drones previously smuggled into the country to assault key facilities and unalive top generals and scientists. Probably the same top people that are investigating the Holy Grail in the United States, or the Ark of the Covenant. June 14, Israel expands its airstrikes to include targets in Iran's energy industry as Iranian missile and drone attacks continue on Israel. June 15, Israel unleashes airstrikes across Iran for a third day, threatens even greater force as some Iranian missiles evade Israeli air defenses to strike buildings in the heart of the country. Planned talks on Iran's nuclear program in Oman between the United States and Tehran, which could provide an off-ramp, have been called off. So there is at least a moderately quasi-centristical, if still missing quite a bit of information, kind of a takedown of why Israel and Iran don't like each other. All right, let's see what's going on in the chat. Enigma Severus, clear. I'm sorry I've not seen many birdie videos. I'm so desperately trying to get caught up, and everybody's creating so much great stuff. PvP is, I understand, just tired of folks dissing Canada. We are a great neighbor. Our government is crap now, but hopefully we'll get back on track. And hail and well met. Big Al Presents. I guess there's quite a few people here. I need to start promoting y'all's channels as well as just greeting you. Please check out Big Al's Presents. He's got the 10-word review. I watched one today. It was good. I just don't remember what the movie was. Anyway, it seems like it was. You were basically saying that the film was okay, but was forgettable, and the cast is the only thing that made it pretty decent. But evidently, it is forgettable because I've completely forgotten the name of the film. PvP, it is true. It has been an interesting week. Jeff B, the 14-day deadline Trump served up on Iran is a primary concern. Any thoughts? Well, he gave them, from what I can gather, he had given them 60 days to sit down to some talks. And I don't know if they just didn't sit down to talks or if he didn't like what he heard. I don't know. But my very limited understanding is that after they'd done 60 days and there wasn't at least enough progress to make Trump happy, he basically told Netanyahu, you have at it. You've got our blessing. So there it is. Counting sheep, to be fair, good people, crap government also applies to all those countries that hate us, like Iran. It's not a bad point. I used to get, back when I had hair, I know it's hard to believe. I had hair at one time. The person that I went to was this gorgeous Iranian woman. Sadly, she was happily married, but fortunately, I was smart enough not to start flirting with her. But oh my God, it was so nice to get my hair cut by her. But anyway, the long and the short is, her family had to leave Iran when the Shah was overthrown. So I'm assuming it's like those Vietnamese people we were talking about in one of the earlier streams. They'd built up something in Iran, and then it was all gone. And now she had to cut hair. So, and then Miss Everest, PvP, I would love for Canada to be more conservative. I can agree. Just because a government official insults USA efforts, not the heart of all Canadian people. I can see that. Currently, I think a lot of the issues that the USA is getting hit with right now is for the fact that the USA is not giving more free handouts, which I think France hates. Yes, I respectfully concur with that last part. And then, Ms. Everest, we got near a conservative government in the last election. Trump's 51st state stuff caused many to vote liberal after 10 awful years under them. The elbows up took off with Carney milking it. Try this channel. All right. Enigma Everest. But I would argue the northern states who are pretty liberal are making a big influence. PvP, Enigma Everest, they are an independent news channel but have good info. All right. So I'll let them talk about that stuff. Counting sheep, Oman or Woman, Democrat Congress. Stop it. I don't want that right now. Okay. Gorillas. I'm not going to read it, but that's funny as heck. Who's exciting a what? PvP, Western nations thinking truces would ever work are fools. Resolute Germ, they never actually kept to that deal anyway. Apparently, 16 is the point they can build atomic bombs. I don't want that to come up right now. Darth Plato, hey, hail and well met. These dates don't really matter because the campaign didn't start on those dates. They started last week. Right on. Gorillas is going on in 25 minutes. Okay, I will try to finish up. The Iranians have been building a bomb for years. I've been hearing news since the mid-90s. Yeah, I remember hearing news about it in the freaking 80s. Like I say, the Israelis bombed them back then because of reports about them trying to build a nuclear vessel. And I think people have forgotten this, but Reagan, he destroyed their navy, just completely destroyed. Well, maybe I shouldn't say completely destroyed it, but there wasn't much left when he was done. Guerrillas, apparently it goes against Islamic law to build a nuclear bomb. Oh, I see. Counting sheep, January 1st, 2024. Toilets clogged at Khomeini residence. Iran blames Israel. March 3, 2025. Leaky faucet at Khomeini residence. Iran blames Israel. Guerrillas random thoughts. Really? Where does it say that? I doubt the Quran said that. Supreme leaders, dry clean only turban accidentally shrunk in the wash. Iran blames Israel. Iran wants to be a regional power. Nothing would legitimize their regime than gaining hegemony. Iran's allies in the region are few. I know I watched a very interesting video some years back about, according to that video, I know I'm not being great with my source here, but they were claiming that the last 30 or 40 years have been a Cold War between Saudi Arabia and Iran. Again, that's not to say that either one is the good guy or the bad guy, just that they had been in a Cold War. PvP, how long before Hamas and other terror groups collapse? I'm honestly surprised, and I don't know if impressed is the right word to use, but it's what I'm going to say, that Iran hadn't anyway, yeah. Guerrilla shares Ali Khamenei's fatwa against nuclear weapons. Darth Plato, that's why T is using unconditional surrender language all of a sudden. The 14 days is a deception. It won't take 14 days. Trump said yesterday the time was up. He pulled back the U.S. negotiators. Iran is done. Middle Eastern women can be hot. I dated one. She was Jordanian. I thought she was hot. I don't know what you guys would have thought. But anyway, then she went crazy. It's what I do. Darth Plato, there's a big disconnect here. Even if the main nuke site is demolished, that doesn't mean the regime will capitulate. That's very true. Well, I mean, how many times has their main site been demolished? But yet we always end up with the same regime, or at least similar enough. 15. Beware the 4 XXL burqas. Iran got closer now. Israel bombed Iraq nuke site. Oh, that's right. That's right. My bad. I am bad with the news. This is what happens when I don't cite things. My absolute bad. Darth Plato's right. It was the Iraqis, wasn't it? That's right. That's right. Well, they all look alike to me. Sorry, that was just a joke. Probably a lame one. At this moment, PvP says even Arab states are against Iran. A resolute germ, good guy, bad guy, doesn't really matter who we can do business with. This all ties to Arafat. It all started when Arafat went to Camp David in 2000 and said no to everything. Yeah, the Arafat is a part of it. Okay, so if I'm going to be done before 9, I need to hurry. So I thought I would share, just for grins and giggles, what do the Middle Easterners think? We can go to our news sources, and they may or may not be more accurate, but we don't really get the gist of what actual Middle Easterners think. And we may not get it from this, but anyway, here it is. Al Jazeera. To escalate or to de-escalate, what options does Iran have to end the Israeli war? Iran has few options to end the war, and escalating against Israel and the U.S. will likely invite more attacks. Imagine that. Mourners attend a funeral for those killed in Israeli strikes in Iran and Avaz, Iran, June 19. Iran has no clear off-ramps to end its war. I don't want to save the article. I want to read it. With Israel, which could soon drag in the United States and lead to a new quagmire in the Middle East, analysts told Al Jazeera. I just love those analysts. Since June 13, Israel has unalived at least 240 Iranians, many of them civilians. Top Iranian military leaders and nuclear scientists have been among the dead. Israel has struck Iran's state television station. I won't play that here, but I'm sure all of you have seen, God will not allow us to be bombed, and then the television station gets hit by a bomb. There it is. Think of it whatever you want. Anyway, they hit a state television station, hit a hospital, targeted apartment blocks, and damaged the country's air defenses. In response, Iran has fired barrages of ballistic missiles at Israel. targeting military and security installations and hitting the Haifa oil refinery, residential buildings, and a hospital. At least 24 people have been killed in Israel as a result of the attacks. Israel aims to destroy Iran's nuclear program and potentially goes as far as bringing about regime change, analysts say. These goals made it difficult for Iran to navigate a quick end to the conflict. Iran's official position is that it will not negotiate while under attack. Now, I would have more sympathy for this, but do you remember our response when we were negotiating for the hostages? We won't negotiate with you till we get our hostages back. Well, which one is it? Was that a bad? Is it a bad line of reasoning, or was it a good line of reasoning? Because to my mind, you can't have both. Either they were wrong to hold the hostages and should have negotiated with us, and of course you can point it the other way. You could point at the Americans and say, look, they're hypocrites. They wanted Iran to be reasonable then. But, yep. Anyway, they won't negotiate while under attack, fearing it will be forced to fully surrender to the U.S. in Israeli terms. You think? Iran may instead have to hope that U.S. President Donald Trump can be persuaded to rein in Israel, which may be in his interest to avoid getting entangled in a faraway war, even if the U.S. leader has recently appeared to favor striking Iran and has reiterated that Iran cannot be allowed to have a nuclear weapon. If the United States recognizes the urgency of de-escalation and manages to persuade Israel to halt its military campaign, then, given the mounting costs of war for Iran and the fact that Iran's primary goal is to stop, not expand the conflict, it is highly likely that Iran would agree to a ceasefire or political resolution, said Hamid Reza Aziz, an expert on Iran for the Middle East Council for Global Affairs think tank. And as we know, think tank analyzers are always the best people to go to for your information. In theory, Iran could return to the negotiating table and sign a deal while under fire. However, Iran would be forced to entirely give up its nuclear program, enabling its enemies to then aggressively pursue regime change without fear of consequence, analysts previously told Al Jazeera. This is an unlikely scenario, according to Reza Akbari, an analyst on Iran and the Middle East, North Africa, and South Asia program manager at the Institute for War and Peace Reporting. How do I get a job with them? Iran's nuclear program continues to remain a leverage for Iran, which enables them to even engage with the U.S. Giving it up would be a shocking development, which I don't foresee for the time being, he told Al Jazeera. The U.S. and Iran had already engaged in 5 rounds of negotiations before Israel instigated the conflict. The two sides had reached an impasse when Trump demanded that Iran give up its entire nuclear program, which every country has an inalienable right to use for peaceful purposes, according to the Treaty on Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons, which Iran is a signatory to. Trump has since warned Iran that this is Al Jazeera, not that's what they're saying. Trump has since warned Iran to quickly surrender to a deal or face even more dire repercussions, hinting at regime change. Iran has few good options, says Negar Mortazavi, an expert on Iran with the Center for International Policy. How do you get the title of expert on Iran? Can you take 5 easy courses and get certified as Iranian? I'm not getting paid enough as a Russian asset. I think my next career change needs to be Iranian expert. I need to find out how to do this. Anyway, she believes that Iran has little to lose by retaliating against Israel, but also notes that the strategy would not necessarily give Tehran a way out of the conflict. If Iran does not retaliate after each attack, Iranian officials think the Israeli attacks will get harder, and I think they're correct, Mortazavi told Al Jazeera. But every time Iran retaliates, they give Israel the excuse to attack them again. Pressuring the United States. Over the last year, Iran's regional influence has suffered major setbacks, leaving it geopolitically vulnerable. Iran had long relied on its ally, the Lebanese armed group Hezbollah, to provide deterrence from direct Israeli attacks, but Hezbollah was significantly weakened after fighting an all-out war against Israel last year. In addition, Iran lost another ally when Syria's former president, Bashar al-Assad, was toppled in December of 2024. Iran could still direct attacks against U.S. bases and personnel through a web of Iranian-backed armed groups in the region, particularly in Iraq, said Barbara Slavin, an expert on Iran. How many does that make? They've quoted 4 Iranian experts. And a distinguished fellow at the Stimson Center think tank. I want a job on a think tank. Some think tank, come hire me. I'll work cheap. And probably come up with stuff that's at least as good as this. She believes Iranian-backed groups in Iraq could fire warning shots to try and exploit U.S. public opinion. Trump's nationalist America First base remains staunchly opposed to any U.S. involvement in wars abroad, which they view as unrelated to their domestic concerns. And anti-interventionist sentiments are likely to increase if U.S. troops are put in harm's way as a result of any attacks related to the conflict with Iran. The thought of Americans dying in this would make it even more controversial for the U.S. than it already is, Slavin told Al Jazeera. Iran could also make Americans feel the impact of the war economically. It has threatened to attack commercial ships in the Strait of Hormuz, which would affect global trade and increase oil prices. Do any of you remember what I just said about what Reagan did? You think if Reagan did it, you think Trump could do it? And if you think Reagan had the balls to do it, you don't think Trump would have the balls to do it? Yeah, I think that would be a very bad move. I'm just saying. If they were going to attack commercial ships in the Strait of Hormuz, the time to do that was under Biden. Now, no, not so much. But that could affect global trade and increase oil prices. But Slavin said this move would badly hurt Iran's economy too. Slavin added that Iran also relies on commercial shipping in the Straits of Hormuz, which lies between Iran and Oman and is one of the most important shipping routes in the world to export oil. Instead, Slavin said that Iran's best option was to contain the war with Israel and wait out the conflict, arguing that any maneuver to escalate against U.S. personnel, even as a warning, is a risky gambit. Trump's administration, which includes many war hawks, has explicitly warned Iran against targeting its assets or soldiers. Iran is also wary of giving the U.S. any easy pretext to directly enter the war on behalf of Israel, like Bari said. Maybe you should apologize for the times you celebrated when the Twin Towers fell down. That might go a little ways toward making us not want to. I'm just putting that out there. I'm actually not for us getting directly involved in the war. But at the same time, you insult us for 40 years. Can you really blame us if some of us do want to fire back? Iran's leadership knows that drawing the U.S. further into the war could be catastrophic for both the regime and in terms of industrial damage. It would risk destroying everything Iran has built over the past 40 plus years, Akbari said. And I'm going to call that good. What do you guys think about what the Middle Easterners think about what's going on? A Gorilla's Random Thoughts. Why are you calling Era fat? That's fat shaming. Darth Plato, Arafat is the match more than anything else for what's happening now. He was a linchpin. He really was. Arafat and the others always did say no. Yeah, at least in my memory. Gorilla's random thoughts. I know how Iran can end the war, and it's simple. Stop existing. Yes. So I'm glad one of us is reasonable. That just stop existing. Yeah. Darth Plato, critics, I've seen that Israel wouldn't dare attack Iran because Iran has 3,000 missiles and would deluge Israel to rubble. That hasn't happened. I could be wrong, but if I'm understanding things correctly, a lot of those, well, one, the number was probably inflated, but two, I think Israel took out a lot of their missile capacity right off the bat. So, yeah. But I could be wrong about that. Let me know. Darth Plato, Iran should hire Baghdad Bob. Darth Plato, is T-Man become W-Man? Wilson? PvP difference is Iran kills civilians. Israel does strikes as government and military sites. When they decide to attack a civilian area, they give warning hours earlier. I do know of at least one YouTuber who would argue with you, but I am not going to, because I am about 80% in agreement with you there. No ceasefire. Darth Plato, Israel also warns people in Gaza before they demolish a site. PvP, that's never worked in 60 years. Iran dictators are on their knees. Actually, a lot of them are gone. I think they're spared Khomeini, and I think everyone else has mostly been taken out. PvP, time to free the Iranian people. Darth Plato, ceasefire is just a slogan. It's a mandatory thing to say because they think by departing from the past rules of war, that the future will be peaceful. It's dogmatic belief. PvP, remember the ceasefire before the terrorists murdered hundreds of Israelis? And anyway, heading to Gorillas. Okay, I am going to share the things that I found on Twitter that pertain to this. And I will try to ignore political or stuff that has nothing to do with it. Khomeini. I know I've got stuff about Khomeini. Have I finally lost my mind? I finally lost it. I've gone mad. I've truly gone mad. Okay, so here's the Iranian stuff. All right. Okay. All right. Here we go. These are the things that inspired me to want to talk about this. A lot of it is likely biased, so I can understand if maybe one or two people are not happy about it, but I'm not meaning to be political. I'm just trying to share that there's things that the media won't tell you, and I think that we need more. We need more of just the common man sharing things. This is a heartfelt message from an Iranian that needs to be heard. This is under the hashtag of Iranians Stand With Israel. Again, maybe this is just a bunch of crap, but I thought it was worth sharing. Let's see what you guys think.
You have millions of Iranians right now inside of their home, just waiting to come out of that prison, to dance and celebrate in the streets, literally. Not because of war, but because of hope, optimism. I'm Iranian.
Let me know if you can hear this.
My people aren't crying for the regime leaders. They hate them. They beat our Iranian daughters and murder them. They fund terror. They bankrupted our country by sending billions.
He is quoting the Iranian Khomeini here. Virgin female prisoners should be garroted before execution so that they do not go to heaven.
They fund terror. They bankrupted our country by sending billions to Syria. Israel just did what the Iranians may have dreamed of them doing. This wasn't an attack on Iran. It was a strike on the regime, choking the Iranian people. The same regime that helped plan October 7th. The same regime that armed Hezbollah, Hamas, and the Houthis. And guess what? They never gave a about the Palestinians, did they? They only cared about power. Some Americans are scared to act. They say, don't bomb Iran or we'll start a war. Wake up, man. The regime already started one. Ask the students in Ivan prison. Ask the mothers of the girls.
Here he has a BBC News. Rare accounts of life for women inside notorious Iranian prison.
Ask the mothers of the girls beating for dancing. They were beaten. Israel didn't start a war. They opened a door. And to the Iranian people, the Persian people, you are not alone. To the world, share this video. Let them know we see them. Israel just gave Iranians a reason to believe that the regime can collapse, that freedom is possible, that the Iranian people might rise again.
I don't know about you. Maybe I'm wrong to feel this way, but I feel my spine tingling when I listen to that guy. Kapla, hail and well met. Mark Malnikov, glory to you and your house. All right. The next thing I wanted to share. All right. I probably need to mute this one because the music will get a strike. But Iranian girl's message to the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps and to hashtag Khomeini, we are not afraid of you. Hashtag IRGC terrorists. Hashtag IRGC funds terror. Hashtag Iranians stand with Israel. Here. And the significance of this, other than the fact that they just, I'm not even trying to be prurient here. They just have beautiful long hair, but it is illegal for them to show that hair to a man that is not their husband. If Iran gets a hold of these girls, it's going to be a bad, bad thing for them. I don't know about you, and I'm not meaning to tell you how to think, but my thought is that wouldn't it be great if they could walk down the streets of Tehran with their hair down and not be afraid for their lives? We've got a good man here. CODIS Fact Search. Hail and well met. I also only care about my kids' futures. All this is indicative of stupidity and humanity. Selfish, useless humans will be the end of us all. And Lizzie Armstrong, hello, hello. Say hello to Fifi and give her a hug for me. CODIS Fact Search is not very happy with the current state of Islam. And to be blunt, I know there's exceptions. I know there are. But yeah, there are definitely things that make my heart sad when it comes to the state of Islam as it currently stands in some countries. Daughters of Persia. While the regime's elites send their daughters to study, and we live freely in the US and Europe, our daughters in Iran are jailed for showing their hair. We will not stay silent while our sisters are caged for demanding their basic rights. And here, a Iranian woman with her hair down in front of an American flag, as opposed to the one that's in Iran that is behind a jail cell. At Fight for Persia, Daughters of Persia. Dag nabbit. I don't want to show the political crap. I want to show the Iranian stuff. Have I finally lost? Okay, that's all political crap. I may not have. These aren't bookmarks. Oh, this is just my my feed. Never mind. Okay. I said I wouldn't show it, but I think I may. Here we go. Carmel Malamad, Iranian Crown Princess Noor #Pahlav, proclaims on her social media the love and friendship between Iranians and Israelis because always #Iranians stand with Israel. I'm praying for the safety of the people of Iran and Israel right now. We're all terrified for our friends and family there, let alone those under direct threat. The world wants to see these two nations as arch rivals, but that is not the reality. There has never been a war between our people, only a failed attempt to divide an ancient bond between old friends. Iranians and Jews have a 2,500-year-old friendship that will only be strengthened as we stand shoulder to shoulder through this. On the other side, there will be no daylight between us. This union, once emerged, will reflect the end of regional wars and the wellspring of peace across the entire Middle East for everybody. Dawn is near. We must hold on to hope now more than ever. And here, amazing footage. A Jordanian fighter jet shooting down an Iranian drone that was on its way to Israel. I'm just putting that out there. A video from Tehran shows Iranians chanting death to Khomeini as Israeli airstrikes hit the Iranian regime. The people of #Iran seek freedom from the Islamic regime and see #Israel, the US, and the free world as friends and allies. If any of you are old enough to remember hearing those words, only death to America, again, maybe I'm just full of crap, but it warms my tired old heart to hear Khomeini, which is so close to Khomeini, to the other one who proclaimed us the great Satan and put a hit on the guy who wrote the satanic verses. I've got the book in my other room. But anyway, Death to Khomeini. I'm not going to share the other stuff because I don't want this to be I don't want this to be about left and right or about Republican and Democrat, although I am going to share this one. Khomeini calls Trump and says, I had a dream last night that all of New York was in ruins and Iranian flags were flying everywhere. Trump replies, strange. I dreamed that all of Tehran was thriving, full of high tech and billboards. What did the billboards say? Asked Khomeini. Trump answers, you think I know how to read Hebrew? One more thing, I think. And then I will call it a stream. Here we go. Oh, I guess this was captioned incorrectly. All right. Well, let's go to the correct captions, and that will be the last thing that we look at because I don't want to spread an inaccuracy when I know something different. Share the screen and keep the devil in the night. All right, here we go. You guys have seen this before, I'm sure. And I said I wasn't going to show it, but I can't resist. I'm going to not play the sound because that's the thing that YouTube will almost certainly ding. But she's saying the sound you heard is the sound of aggression against the homeland. The sound of aggression against truth and righteousness. What you observed, the sound you heard, the dusty atmosphere of the studio. And then it's all gone. But yeah, it had originally been said that God would not allow the bombs to hit them. But anyway, even if it is different, it's still interesting that they took it out right as okay. I guess I will share one more thing. Danny Trejo, you're not sad, you just need some tacos. So we're going to end on that note. Dang it, I wasn't sharing, was I? Dag nabbit. Or I was sharing the other one, not that. Okay. Anyway, yeah, I got a image here of Danny Trejo saying, you're not sad, you just need some tacos. So maybe that's the deal. Maybe the Iranians and maybe the Israelis should just sit down, eat some tacos together. That would be a lot more fun than shooting at each other. All right. Let's finish up with the chat, and then I will thank everybody, promote everybody, and call it a stream. CODIS Fact Search, how have I been? I've been okay. Today was the first day in a long time I'd gotten home before 7 o'clock, so I'm not meaning to whine. It's just, it's hard to do much. I get home, I eat, I might watch somebody's stream, and then I collapse. Mark Molikov, Curtis Sully, while that's true, would be great. We need to not get involved as a country. And I tend to agree with that. Even though I'm sharing all this, I do feel that the less we are involved with this, probably the better off everyone's going to be. Every time we get into regime change, and I agree with you here, it usually turns into a cluster beep. Lizzie is thanking CODIS and saying hi to Mark. CODIS, CODIS, I'm sorry. Honestly, I don't have the energy to agree or disagree. Lizzie says it is 11:42 Friday morning. Happy Friday morning in Australia. Even autocorrect is messing up. get you on a bigger screen. I know what you mean, CODIS Fact Search. It's exhausting to keep up with. Persia was beautiful. And then Islamic fundamentalist terrorism took over. I'm kind of putting words in your mouth, but yeah, a not good form of Islam took over, and it sucks. Umgerd Orderquark is communist, swear to ARG. All right. Lizzie has a book to get me. Okay, nice. It's okay. I haven't streamed in hardly at all. It's been Sunday. I did some streaming with Gorillas, which was great. Don't get me wrong, but I haven't done any streams of my own in ages. Don't take risks. Things are not as they seem. Blessings on my friend and Cassie. And Cassie says that not seeing you is rough. John Ponterero, what you missed is me being flagrantly pro-Iranian. I am completely for the Iranian people and completely against their government. So I hope that is good enough. All right, let's thank everybody, promote everybody, call it a stream. Cassie, I love Cassie. I'm going to have to stop taking her to work. It's getting to where it's too hot for her. I'm going to miss her so bad. Put on the soft pro music. Maybe pour everyone a drink. How are you all doing today? We're giving an ASMR talk about the greatness of Persia, which really was. CODIS Fact Search is not wrong. Persia was a great country with thousands upon thousands of years of history. And those bastards just took it to the Stone Age and made it a country of oppressed, frightened people. And the rest of it I really can't say because I'm not on Rumble. Thank you very much, PvP, for the links that you shared. I'm sorry I didn't get to more of them, but it's always good. You always share good stuff. I did not know the importance of the Canadian ambassador in helping to get some of those hostages free. Counting Sheep, thank you very much. While you're at it, PvP has some material. Go check him out. He's pretty artsy and not in a fartsy way. He's the guy who painted that painting, so that's pretty freaking cool. I can draw a stick man. Accounting Sheep, thank you very much, and please check out this wonderful gentleman's material. Especially check out his poem, CODIS Fact Search. I think you would like this. Accounting Sheep, if you want to maybe drop the link for the poem about Horatius. If it doesn't give you some vague hope, I don't know what can. It will make you want to defend your family, your country. It will make you want to stop the barbarians on the bridge. Although it really wasn't barbarians, but close enough. I can be inaccurate about history. Suzanne, thank you very much. We're going to get prayers up for you. I'm not much of a man of faith anymore, but I know you're hurting your daughter. You're worried for your daughter. I'm not going to say anything beyond that. So if any of you have any prayers to give out, or if you're not a believer, pray to whatever your God is. I'm not gonna get touchy about it here. Pray to your God. If you don't have a God, send out your positive thoughts. and what have you for Suzanne and her daughter. Counting sheep wasn't born until Reagan's term. Resliger, please check this gentleman out. And I need to get in touch with you soon because I am off Saturday. Ha-ha! Connie Cleary, she's launching some stuff on her channel. I need to go watch it. Sadly, I was at work today. I saw it pop up, but I wasn't able to look at it yet. So, Tim. Yeah, attacking an embassy is an act of war. And I believe you have some pretty interesting content. And also, you often contribute really cool videos. I meant to get to Tausi TV that you shared. I think, was it you or was it PvP? I'm getting everybody mixed up. Enigma Severus Cortissimo is live. Thank you very much. Also, check this gentleman out. He's got some really cool videos reviewing movies. Although at the moment I am still laughing about the rather nonplussed reaction you had for a movie. Yeah, that happened. But I get the impression that was the best that the movie could muster. Check this gentleman out. He's got good stuff. He also has a channel where you can learn Spanish. If I was smart, I would start listening to it. Thank you very much, Jeff B. You've been around almost since I began the YouTube channel. There's only one person in here who's been around for me longer. And I'm getting him as quick as I can. Gorilla's Random Thoughts. He's streaming pretty soon. I need to get done so you guys can get there. Please check him out. And thank you very much for creating my theme song. And you're reminding me that I have a poll. 82% of you say Israel wins. Nobody believes Iran will win. 12% vote that I don't care. They are both evil. And 6%, so I'm assuming one person voted that Gavin Newsom will negotiate peace. There are more people, as I end the poll, that believe that Gavin Newsom will negotiate the peace than believe that Iran will win. Take that for what it's worth. Sci-Fi Sith Dan also has some wonderful sci-fi material. Please check him out. He's probably on with Gorillas right now. I regrettably won't be in the panel, but I am going to try to get there and be in the chat because I love me some Sarah Connor Chronicles. Accounting Sheep is a secret agent. Please talk about me. Yeah, we were talking earlier about the people I know who have or have had top secret clearances are not the people that are out there trying to advertise the things that they did. I'm just saying. But yet we seem to have some media whores at the top of the power structure. Darth Plato, thank you for your very insightful comments. Iran wants to be a regional power. Nothing would legitimize the regime better than gaining hegemony. Iran's allies in the region are few. Boom, 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 doo, doo. Is T-Man become W-Man? Wilson and the one person that has been around longer, Codis Fact Search. Thank you very much for being here, for your comments, for your support, for all the information that you've shared. I'm so sorry. I know I've been kind of radio silent. Basically, work, sleep, work, sleep, work, sleep, work, sleep. We also had, who did I skip over? I skipped over someone. Kapla, Helen Wilmette, glory to you and your house, Mark Monikov. He has also got some great material, and he writes for stuff that I'm having a senior moment, can't remember, but it's good stuff. So check him out. Lizzie Armstrong is making a little bit of stuff I noticed lately. Please keep creating, Lizzie. The world needs to be introduced to Fifi. Beautiful, beautiful bird. And I just love how Fifi looks at the camera when I say stuff to her. All right. Prayers for Suzanne and the family. Gruesome Newsome. Nope. Yeah, I would be profoundly surprised. In fact, I'm going to make a prediction. I try not to do this because I'm invariably wrong when I do, but if Gavin Newsom has any hope of becoming president, I would say his only hope is by negotiating peace between Israel and Iran. Don't get doged at Curtis Selby. I'm trying not to. Well, as I used to say, I think I will end this one the way I used to. It's been said that life is pain, and anybody telling you otherwise is trying to sell you something. And it is true. I am trying to sell you something. I'm trying to sell you on the idea that you are smart enough, capable enough, wise enough, good enough to run your own life. You don't need a big government or a big corporation telling you how to live, how to think. Tonight, I would also like to send my thoughts and prayers out, not to the governments. So I kind of suspect that they are both corrupt as far as governments, but to the people of Israel and Iran. For what it may or may not be worth, our prayers do go out to you. We do hope for peace, for prosperity, and for happiness for both of your nations. CODIS Fact Search said it very well. There's some very stupid people that are trying to buy their power at the expense of your peace. And lastly of all, I want you to understand, you are not going mad. You're going sane in a world gone mad. Kapla to you all. God bless you, and spoon! Have a wonderful evening.